Great morning, great afternoon, great evening, whatever time of day that you're listening to this. This is Lisa Watkins, and I'm here with another episode of Divine Deliverance. And I'm going to tell you, I was looking at my word this morning, and I have something so good. If you're hungry for the word, I have something that will fill you up on today. If I was to name this and give it a title, it would be, Why Didn't I Think of That? Why didn't I think of that? This particular episode is for the entrepreneur because I'm on a path right now in my personal journey, my career, my life, and my path to financial freedom, where I want to do my own business. I want to run my own business, but I want to help people along the way, which means that my business has very little to do with me and more to do with helping you, helping those who are listening to this, helping those who follow me on all the social media platforms. It is about you. And because I have a heart for people, I pray that God gives me wisdom, strategy, a plan to execute in the next few months. I'm excited about that. And the first thing that he showed me today was in the book of 2 Kings chapter 4. And many of us are familiar with this. And again, my title would be, if I were to have a title for this, is Why Didn't I Think of That? Have any of you listening to this ever was faced with a problem and later discovered a solution that was so simple? And it was so simple, you thought to yourself, why didn't I think of that? But here, the widow in 2 Kings 4 was in debt. She was desperate, and she had no way out until she sought the right help. So the passage shows us that if we seek the right person, if we provide details about our situation like she did, and obey the instructions, we receive strategy beyond what we can imagine. So let's do a first point. Let's do a 3-point, okay? So here's our 3 points. The first point is, let's just read a little bit of this. It says in verse 1, a certain woman of the wives of the sons of the prophets cried out to Elijah, saying, your servant, my husband, is dead, and you know that your servant feared the Lord, and the creditor is coming to take my 2 sons to be his slaves. So here we see that the widow could have gone to anyone, but she sought out the man of God, the prophet Elijah. Many times we struggle because we seek help from other sources. The first call we make, and I know I'm guilty of this, I'll call my sisters, I'll call my mom, I'll call my friends, and not necessarily, and my children, not necessarily in that order. And that sort of delays what God is trying to do because we haven't tapped into the right person. We haven't connected with the people that he told us to connect with for this particular issue. Not for every issue, but there are some issues you have to go straight to God, straight to the man or woman of God. So wisdom and strategy come when we seek guidance from the right person, from the right source. God and those he places in your path, they're the right source. So I guess the question is, who are you asking for help? And are you seeking godly counsel for your situation? Let's go to point 2. Point 2, give details about your situation. Yes, God knows everything. God sees everything. God hears everything. But here in the verse 2, it says, so Elijah said to her, what shall I do for you? Elijah is a prophet. Doesn't mean he knew off the bat. Doesn't mean he didn't know. But he asked the question, what shall I do for you? Tell me, what do you have in your house? That's the second question. So the first question, what do you want me to do about this? The second question is, What do you have in your house? Have you thought about it? Have you considered what you have in your house? And she said, your maidservant has nothing in the house but a jar of oil. So Elijah asked specific questions, and the widow was honest about her lack of resources. I'm going to tell you, the thing that keeps us from being honest when we're asked our situation is pride. Let me say that again. The things that keeps us from being honest about our situation is pride. What is your situation right now that you haven't even gone to God about? That is pride. You haven't said it out loud. You scared of how it sounds because it's you. You can't be dealing with this. You can't be in debt. Your car payment can't be 3 months behind. Look, this is me. I can't be that person. My job is my source. I can't ask God to move me to another position, to elevate me, to promote me, right? As miserable. So I think that our number one issue that keeps us from asking the right people, because we want to save face, especially in the church. Especially in the church, we want to look just like everybody else. One of the things I love about my first lady at our church is that she gave a testimony that I guess I wasn't familiar with, and maybe she had given it before. I wasn't familiar with it. And she was just talking about her day and the things that happened throughout the course of the day that were all negative. It was one thing after another after another. And she got to this statement that really took me aback. She said her car broke down and she just didn't have it. What? First lady, you ain't have it? And so she wasn't married at the time, but when she was saying this and when that testimony came up, but how many of us are not honest about what we don't have? What we don't have. But the great thing is, the thing that we lack, there is something else that will stand in the gap. So she didn't know she had oil, but she did know a person who can remind her, hey, go, what do you have? And have her think about that. So let's move on. Often we don't receive solutions because we hide or minimize our problems instead of fully presenting them to God. We talked about that. She also thought she had nothing.